Hello, welcome along to Saints Live and a very warm welcome back to St Mary's Stadium with myself, Kenzie Benali.
And I'm Steve Forbes.
Great to be back with you today here on the sunny South Coast, where finally, after over a year of waiting, we will be welcoming back a full capacity crowd. We can't wait. And that is, of course, ahead of the match where we welcome Manchester United. And Dean Hammond and Adam Leach are joining us for this one. Great to be back as a four once again. Adam, how are you? It's been a while since we've caught up.
Yeah, I'm really well, thank you, Kenzie. Yeah, I've had a nice summer. It's been a bit of a different one for me, but it's been really good. I'm back, looking forward to another season. So fingers crossed for this one. That it's a good one, and we get that kind of upward momentum that we all wanted from last year.
Yeah, absolutely. Dean, lovely to see you again as well. Looking forward to the show.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we're going to have the team news coming up in about 15 minutes' time. There's no fresh injury concerns, although Will Smallbone is still a long-term absentee. Dean, first question to you. After last weekend's defeat against Everton, what changes are you anticipating that Ralph may make for today's starting 11?
I think Ralph may potentially make a few changes today, not necessarily because of the performance or the result last week. I think this season will be a little bit different. He'll have more time on the training ground because of the fixtures are more spread out. I think you could see Kyle Walker-Peters come back into the team, even though Livramento was brilliant. I think he had an excellent debut. I think you see Bednarak come back into the team to add that little bit of experience. At the cost of maybe Stevens or Salisu, I don't know on that. I'll be surprised if we didn't see Stuart Armstrong come back into the team. I think when he performs very, very well, Southampton play better, and I think he'll be needed today. I think he's a superb footballer and a big part of this group. And Nathan Tedder, I think, maybe come back into the team, just bring that energy, that youth, that fearless play he plays with, and I can see moments in the game today where Southampton will be sitting a little bit deeper and we'll have to land the break, and his pace in that transition will be really, really important. So 3 or 4 changes, I think. I think the shape will stay the same. I think the manager's been very, very consistent with that. But I think the manager will utilise the squad today and freshen it up a little bit.
Yeah, well, certainly a few surprises in the team sheet this week. No idea, once again, what's going to happen this week. So looking forward to bringing you the team news in just over 10 minutes' time now. Adam, how do you expect this team to go? Your first time this season on Saints Live. Do you expect us to set up a little bit more defensively than when we were at Goodison Park?
I would think so, Kenzie. Yeah, I mean, I agree with Dean that I think that shape-wise, Ralph will be consistent. I think he's decided that. I feel like largely that will be the shape that they'll continue to play. And I actually think that's a sensible plan. I mean, I know he talked a little bit about sort of having a couple more options they could go to. But for me, I think unless you've got a whole well of injuries and you need to shake things up, then that's the kind of changes you want to be able to adapt to mid-game. I think actually the shape they've got works for the personnel they've got, and they've recruited based on that shape. So I would be really... I'd probably be slightly alarmed if they start changing it up, this early in the season. So then it's personnel-wise, and I actually completely agree with Dean. I think one obvious change that you make is that you bring in Stuart Armstrong. The front four last week is admirable to go out with such an attacking mindset and such attacking players. But I think you're playing Manchester United today. They're a team who are a team on the up again now. They're in the ascendancy. They're doing great. They look really, really dangerous. They've got serious firepower. There's always a delicate balance between wanting to impose your game and not being too concerned about the opposition. Up against, actually, you've got to be sensible. And as a manager, you can't be reckless. And we know from bitter experience what can happen if you get on the wrong side of a team like Man United. So I think Stuart Armstrong, for me, is the change that he has to make this week. He has to bring him into one of those attacking positions because he will offer a lot more solidity as well as, some attacking ability as well. And then, like Dean, I wouldn't be surprised to see a change in the back four just for a bit more solidity again, a little bit more experience. And I think Jan Bednarek is an obvious change as well. And maybe even that slight extra experience that Kyle Walker-Peters brings might well see him back in.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Dean, some of the big news this week is that James Ward-Prowse has signed his new long-term contract at Southampton. It's after speculation that he may move away from the club this summer. But so is it a relief, I suppose, just now that can be put to bed?
Yeah, I think it's brilliant news to start with. I think there is some relief in that because James is such a special player and he's been fantastic for the last few seasons. He's the captain of the football club. We speak about that all the time, and I've mentioned that many times. I think that added responsibility has really improved him as a player, and I think it's credit to James as well. I think he's come out in a couple of interviews and reports that I've read about the faith that he appreciates and he's grateful for the club have showed him, and I think he's returned that now. He's shown some real faith in the football club and signed that long-term contract. And one thing you can say about James, he's a model professional. It's great for the academy players to see such a player come through the system from 8 years old. I think he signed at the football club to where he is now at 26. So for Southampton, it's brilliant. They're getting a player that's an international footballer. He's in his prime. He's 26 years old. He's improving all the time. I love watching him as a player, and he's happy. I think he's made a life decision as well, not just a football decision, that he sees that he's improving as a player. He smiles when he's playing, and he's achieving everything he really wants at the moment. You know, he's got into the international fold. He's getting around that squad. Can he stay there? And he's achieved that at Southampton. So credit to him and credit to the football club. But I think it's brilliant news. And there is a little bit of relief because he would be a wanted player because he's a top-class quality footballer.
Yeah, most definitely. It's incredible, Adam, to see him committing his long-term future to the club. But the interest from other football teams seemed very, very real. And there was certainly a lot of speculation on social media. So how pleased were you to see James putting pen to paper?
Delighted, to be honest, because it's so needed. I think after the summer of obviously Ryan Bertram went, Vestergaard's gone, but probably most importantly, Danny Ings left in a situation where he had a contract running down. He made a decision that he wanted to move on. I think if James had gone as well, I think that the instability that would have caused, it would have been very, very hard, I think, for Saints to have recovered from that this season. I honestly think that would have been a blow that they may not have got over before the season had even begun. So to see him committing is huge. And I agree with Dean. It's a life decision he's made in many ways. I think he's looked at the situation and maybe thought, you know what, if a Man City or Man United are laying down serious money for you, you probably do have to think about that, regardless of your life situation. But he's looked at it and gone, do I want to go to a Aston Villa type club like Danny's done? And he's looked at it and thought, you know what? I'm happy here. I'm settled. I'm getting in and around the England squad. Are my chances of things like that going to improve if I go anywhere else? Am I going to win trophies at Aston Villa, for example? Am I going to suddenly be an automatic in the England squad if I go there? Am I going to play in the Champions League every week? And the answer is no. So I think he's thought to himself, well, why leave? Why ruin a good thing just to change it for something that's vaguely similar, might get a little bit more money? But you know what? Frankly, he's loaded already. He doesn't need lots more money. So, good on him, I think, for making the decision. And one other thing I would say is that he's probably looked at people like Franny Benali, people like Matt Letizia, and have thought to himself, I'm on the trajectory to be a club legend like those guys, to be people who are like one club men through and through. And that's a huge thing. It's like you're like royalty then at a football club for the rest of your life. The red carpet's rolled out when you turn up. And that's a huge thing for anybody in their life as well. And I think he's just thought, why would I shake that up unless there's a huge, huge opportunity? So I think he's made actually a really good decision. Great for the club. I also think it's a great decision for him as well.
Yeah, definitely. We love to see it. You referenced Danny leaving there, Adam. Well, his replacement, Adam Armstrong, opened his Saints account against Everton last weekend. What a finish, wasn't it, Kenz, as well? Superb. And Ralph was asked about it during his press conference on Friday.
Tell me about Adam Armstrong settling in. Great first goal on his debut last week. Can he replace Danny Ings? Now you've had a couple of weeks to look at him properly in training. Can he be that man, the next one?
Doesn't have to be. It's always important for you or for the fans that they have something like a like a top scorer. But for me, it's more important that we are as a team dangerous and create chances, that everybody scores. This is for me more important. And that he can score goals, he has shown, and then he also can work for the team. He also has shown, and this is important for me. He knows how to press. He knows how to be on the front foot, and this is important for me. And also the lads have seen that he can help us.
So that was Ralph's opinions about Adam Armstrong there. Some Saints fans might not have seen him in action previous to that game. Dean, what did we learn about him in that Everton match?
Lots, I think. I was very, very impressed. We learned that if he gets an opportunity, then he's a really, really good finisher. He was clinical, he was calm, he was composed. It looked really, really natural for him. And, it's different. It is different, the Premier League. You can do that in the Championship, but one opportunity against Everton, and it was a superb finish. And it was the other parts of his game as well. He's a willing runner. He's willing to run in behind to make those runs. He's quicker than I expected or thought, to be honest. Because again, when you move up to the Premier League, the pace and the quickness of the game is a step up, and he showed real pace to get in behind. And he linked up pretty well with Shea as well at times. And that second opportunity he had in the first half, where he kind of hit a snapshot of his left foot, a half volley, he looks confident as well. So in front of goal, he looks like a natural goal scorer. So it's a really, really good signing. It's always important as a striker to score goals, and you'll get judged on scoring goals. So to be able to do that in your debut would be really, really important for him individually. So I think he could be an exciting player for the club. I just hope he gets as many chances as he would like, because I think he'll score goals, and I think he'll score all different types of goals as well, whether it's balls flashed across the box where he taps them in, or whether it's 30-yard spectacular goals. So, yeah, an exciting start, and I'm sure he'll be very happy with that.
Sure, he'll be delighted. And Adam, a dream start for him, really. His first shot in his Southampton shirt was a goal. Not bad stats at all, is it? And as Dean just said there, a superb finish as well. And it actually felt like a bit of a Danny Ings-esque style finish. Is that a fair statement to make?
I think that's very fair. I think as much as anything, it was the confidence with which he finished it. It was it was ruthless. It was incisive, and that's what you get from a striker who's really confident. And I think that's what he brought to the team, and that's what we saw so much from Danny. He didn't really think about it, and that's what you want. I mean, that's something we've said about Che Adams when he's had those one-on-one opportunities. Those are the moments where he seems to have thought about it and kind of got caught in two minds as to what to do. And he's been better with those instinctive finishes. Danny was obviously so great at those one-on-one situations, as well as being ruthless in the predator in the box as well, as we saw with his fantastic goal for Villa yesterday. And that's the role that Adam Armstrong's been brought to fill. He has been brought to fill Danny Ings' boots, and that's a very hard task. But you can't really get a better start than that. It was a Danny Ings-esque finish for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Dean, you know all about opening day goals. You scored a famous one against Leeds here at St Mary's. You're only one of the season, if I'm rightly informed that. But how much of a boost did it give you, and what will it do for Adam Armstrong opening his account so early for Southampton?
Well, let's hope Adam gets a few more than one this year, to be honest. But no, it's fantastic. To score on the opening day, to kind of it does build confidence. It does give you belief. It made me feel, from a personal point of view, it helped my performance. And it will be the same with Adam. That when you come into a new group, when you come into a new football club, you want to prove yourself to the players. You want to prove yourself to the manager, and you want to prove yourself to the fans as well. So him scoring that goal would have just been a relief for him to start with. And then when he's looked back on it, it will give him confidence in thinking, I've played in the Premier League at a younger age. I've dropped down, I've come back up, and I can still do it. And like Adam said, it's a fantastic finish. It really, really is. There's no hesitation. He's not overthinking it. He gets the ball into the position where he wants to, so he can put it into that far corner. So I think he'll be an excellent signing. But to score on your debut is huge, because if you go 2, 3, 4, 5 games without scoring as a striker, the pressure does build up. We saw that with Shea when he came into the football club. His performances were really, really good, and he was performing, but he was
Dean,
getting judged.
my apologies to jump in on you there.
Sorry, Kenzie.
No, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we have got the team news, and I am going to interrupt to bring it to you now, because I can reveal that it is an unchanged starting 11 to the team that faced Everton last week. So let's run through that with you now then. In goal, Alex McCarthy. The back four is made up of Tino Livramento, Mohamed Salisu, Jack Stevens and Roman Perro. James Ward-Prowse and Oriol Romeo sit in front of them. Out wide, Moussa Gineppo and Theo Walcott. And leading the line for the Saints, Shea Adams, and the man we've just been speaking about, Adam Armstrong, and of course who we've been just discussing, got off the mark in fantastic fashion last week. The Southampton substitutes then for the mighty Saints are as follows: Fraser Forster, Carl Walker-Peters, Jan Valery, Jan Bednarek, Ibrahima Diallo, Nathan Teller, Nathan Redmond, Moy Elianusi and Shane Long. Well, hopefully you're able to hear me over the PA here. As you can see, we are welcoming fans back. They're beginning to trickle in behind us. Very exciting indeed. But of course, the team news is what we must talk about. Dean, I did so rudely interrupt you, so I'll come to you first. I mean, a bit of a shock really to see an unchanged side. I know you were both saying you were perhaps thinking we might see Carl Walker-Peters come back into the side or Stuart Armstrong. What do you make of that starting 11 to face Manchester United today?
Yeah, like you've mentioned there, Kenzie, a little bit of surprise, but it's difficult to question a manager's decision when he sees the players every day on the training ground and he sees them perform. So I think the manager has potentially seen enough last week that allows him to go again with the same team and the same group of players. And there's enough in there. There was moments in the Everton game where they caused Everton problems. They obviously scored a good goal, but lost the game. But the surprise to me is obviously the players you mentioned with Cole Walker-Peters, with Stuart Armstrong, with Bednarek, that were so influential last season, that had such an impact on the team and were such important and key players, that they've not made in a performance for that. But again, we don't know the reasons for that. The manager sees them every day. And look, like I say, there was moments and spells in that game last week against Everton where the team did perform well and did cause Everton problems. There were some individual errors that cost Southampton the game. So, look, they could have worked on that in training all week. The manager's gone, I'm going to give this group of players another go, and that's what he's gone with. So it will be interesting to see.
Yeah, it really will. And Adam, as Dean's just alluded to, ultimately we don't see what goes on at training. Ralph obviously backs this starting 11. How do you feel about it?
Well, I mean, it's bold. Let's put it that way. It's a bold starting 11 because it's very attack-minded against a team who are probably likely to be one of the highest scoring teams in the Premier League this year. So is it bold and brave? Is it reckless? I guess that's, as a manager, that's how you end up getting judged at the end of a game and at the end of a season with decisions like that. I mean, Stuart Armstrong for me was the obvious choice. He's not even on the bench, which suggests to me maybe he's picked up a knock. So maybe that wasn't even going to be a viable option. Ralph obviously didn't report that before the game, but maybe that's what's happened. I'm surprised Walker-Peters isn't playing, but okay, Ralph's gone with it. I mean, if it comes off, it's one of those where he'll look like a absolute genius to have been so brave and so bold as to name such an attacking side. Obviously, if the opposite happens and Saints lose, and especially if they lost convincingly, then it wouldn't look quite so clever. But those are the decisions that you're judged on as a manager. So I think from my point of view, you always just have to give them a chance and just see what happens.
Well, Adam, let's talk about the battle for the right-back position. A lot of fans would have thought that Carl Walker-Peters was a certain starter before last weekend's game against Everton. Tino Livramento started and does so again today and has rightly impressed.
Yeah, I mean, he did well. He did well, for sure. I mean, I feel for Kyle. I mean, again, not being close enough to see him training every day, I don't know what has happened over the summer, whether this is just Ralph preferring a new player or whether he feels that Kyle's levels have dipped a little. And this is kind of a bit of a nudge to him to try and bring him on as well. But we've kind of gone from one extreme to the other, where last year it was basically Kyle Walker-Peters pretty much had to play right back all the time. And if not, we were looking at what midfielders can they draft in? Can they put a centre half at right back? And today we've got 3 right backs in the squad. We've got 2 on the bench, and one obviously starting at right back. So we are one extreme to the other in that position. But yeah, I felt like that was one area where they obviously needed to add depth, but they didn't necessarily need to go and buy somebody or bring somebody in who would replace your frontline player, because Kyle Walker-Peters was without doubt one of Saints' best players last season. So it's a little bit of a surprise, and it probably smacks of they had an opportunity to do something, so they took it, because perhaps in other areas where they perhaps may prefer to bring in other options, perhaps that's more of a struggle financially to have found the right player to do that. But Ralph obviously likes him, so I guess you just kind of have to go with this decision. But I do, like, from the outside looking in, I do feel for Kyle, because he's one of the best players, so he might well be from last season. So he might well be looking at it going, what exactly have I done wrong compared to some of my teammates here who are still playing? And I think he would, all things being equal, he would be right to be a little bit miffed, I think.
Yeah. Well, Dean, looking on the other side of that back four then, another debutant against Everton last week was, of course, Perro. How did he do for you? And do you think he'll need to play a little more defensive-minded today coming up against the Red Devils?
Yeah, I think he did okay in his debut. I think he was solid. He was competitive. He was ambitious at times with his runs and overlapping, and especially in the final stages of the game, there was a few times he combined pretty well with Djenepo, and you could see there was a relationship kind of building there. Nothing came of it, but they looked reasonably dangerous. But today, I'm not sure. I think the manager, this team selection is brave and it's an attacking, so I can't imagine that the manager will encourage him not to make those runs forwards. I think he's brought into the football club to do that, to make the overlapping runs, to be an extra body in the box, to be ambitious, to be creative. So I think there'll be times that he'll have to pick his runs and just won't be able to go at any point, and he has to be clever with that. But I think he's strong enough. I think he's fit enough to be able to do that, and he's adapted. You know, his debut was okay. It was pretty good, and I think he'll be pretty pleased with that individually. But he'll get better as he adapts to the Premier League, as he gets used to it. It's a high level. It's very, very competitive and very, very quick. So he'll grow into that position. I think he'll be a good sign, and I really do. I think he's got all the attributes to be an excellent attacking fullback.
Yeah, he's looked very promising so far. Adam, seeing as this is your first appearance on Saints Live this season, can you tell us which players that you're expecting good things from in this campaign?
Well, I think there's a mixture of players really at Saints this year, and I think it's quite interesting because you've got perhaps some of the new signings that have come in, and if you're being blunt, if you're assessing the squad, that Saints have lost quality. You feel like when you look at all of those departures in isolation, you can make a case for them, but losing a lot of quality is hard for any team. When you're losing perhaps a third of your regular starting 11 out of your team, that's a big blow. And Saints have made signings which are mainly gambles, that haven't had the money to go and spend on absolute 100% proven Premier League experience. So they bought in gambles, and those gambles really need to pay off. They pretty much all need to come off. So you've got some of the younger players and the new signings, and particularly, I guess the pressure is on Adam Armstrong, because he's filling obviously a role of somebody who was scoring 15. You could bank for about 15 Premier League goals a season, and which is a lot. So there's a lot of pressure on him. I think then, though, for me, there's also a lot of pressure, and what I would like to see is some of the experienced players who remain really stepping up, because I think that there is a lot of inexperience around. I think there are going to be difficult moments this season for Saints as well, and I think they're going to need the experienced players to be real leaders, and that's on the pitch, and it's also off the pitch as well. It's day to day in the dressing room, at the training ground. I think they really need some of the guys who perhaps have been, somewhat second fiddle or been coming up themselves, to now step up into those leadership roles. And I think they've got some who undoubtedly already do that, but they're going to need more from some of them. And there are other players as well. I think Theo Walcott, for example, he needs to be fit enough and out on the pitch more often. They need that kind of experience and quality out there. Moussa Djenepo, he's had his settling in period. He needs to be more consistent for Saints now. I think there's there's a lot of guys there who have a big challenge this season. I don't think there's many that are in a James Ward-Prowse, Oriol Romeu type situation whereby actually they're fairly comfortably established. I think there's a lot of players who've got a lot to prove, and I'm hoping that motivation will mean we'll see good things from a lot of players this season.
Yeah, most definitely, Adam. Well, before we get to previewing today's opponents, discussing them in a bit more detail, let's take a look at what the fans are saying watching along at home. It feels like there's a bit of optimism kicking about actually online. We've got a comment here just nodding to our captain, James Ward-Prowse. So pleased that Prowse has committed his future, our captain. JB has left us this comment. Love Tino's flair and pace. He's a really good kid. Yeah, he's looked good so far, hasn't he? Sledge's also got in touch. He says, I can see why Ralph is starting Tino. And a final comment for now from Stian. He says, hopefully this team is a masterclass by the Austrian. Well, we certainly hope so. But Dean, let's talk about Manchester United now then, shall we? Because they will, of course, be coming into this game with plenty of confidence. It was a hugely emphatic win for them last week, 5-1. What do you make of them as opponents?
Yeah, it was a very impressive performance by Manchester United last week against a very strong, fit Leeds team. And it was a serious result as well, something that you expect from a club like Manchester United. But it was just the pace they played at, the timing of their passing, the energy that they played with, and obviously the quality they got within that group and that squad. I mean, Pogba was brilliant. I think he got 4 assists in the game. Fernandes scored a hat-trick. Greenwood, again, is a year older, so he's got that experience in the first team, and the pace he showed for his goal was, again, impressive. So, you know, and the signing of Sancho, who will come into that team and bring a little bit more flair and a little bit more creativity. So going forward, they're exceptional. You know, I think they're probably as good as anyone in this league going forward. They've got that away record from last season, which was very, very impressive. I think they're 26 games unbeaten now away from home, which is tough. And they'll be looking to win the title and really, really push on. But I still think they give you opportunities. You know, they're not the Manchester United of old when they had Vidic and they had Ferdinand and Neville and they were solid at the back. I still think De Gea has got a mistake in him. I still think the 2 holding midfield players are good Premier League players, but they're not Manchester United players. They're no Roy Keane or Paul Scholes. So they will give you opportunities. It's whether, you know, the front players, if they perform at the level they do, they're world-class players, then it's going to be very, very difficult for any team in this league to play against them. But yeah, they're very, very impressive, and they started the season well, so they'll be title contenders this year, I think.
Yeah, well, Southampton haven't beaten Manchester United at St Mary's since 2003. James Beattie scored, and a certain Cristiano Ronaldo couldn't even help the Red Devils. Adam, is this the strongest United side that you've seen in quite a while?
I think so, Steve. I remember that game fondly. Yeah, I think it is. I think what Dean's getting at there is right in the context of that, in the context of United, because this is the strongest team since then, but it's not as strong as that team still. They still don't have the out and out quality that team possessed. But I mean, they are going to be title contenders this season. I think their undoing will be that they'll probably concede quite a lot of goals compared to the other teams around the top, but they've got such firepower. I think they back themselves to outscore teams. And I think that's the way that they'll play this season. I don't think they'll care if they concede a goal or two in most games, because I think that they will feel that when they've got with the quality they've got, that they can actually really, really hurt most teams in this division. And I don't want them to win today, but I'm kind of looking forward to seeing a bit more of them today and seeing like how they actually shape up a little bit, because I think this is a big year for them, a big year for Solskjaer as well as manager. I think this is they've been on a trajectory with him that hasn't always been smooth, but it feels like they're kind of going in the right direction to return to more of what we remember as Man United of years gone by. And I think this is the year for them that if they don't win the title, I think they have to be really seriously competitive at the pointy end of the season at that stage. So I think it's a big year for them, but I think that they've got all the quality you could want in an attacking sense to try and outgun teams throughout the year.
Yeah, I mean, they're undoubtedly an incredible side, aren't they? But lots of fans are reminding us online that, you know, we've beaten big teams in the past and we can certainly do it again. I mean, we've got a comment here saying not many teams will beat Chelsea, Man U, Man City, Liverpool this year. This is a free hit. We've got another one here saying if we could beat City during lockdown, we can beat them today. I, for one, have faith in the gaffer, says Anthony. He continues, let's not forget he also had us at the top of the table. Yeah, what a moment that was. Ryan also saying here, United to score first, then we come back and beat them 2-1. Adam Armstrong and Shay Adams to score. Like the sound of that one, Ryan. And Stephen says, it's only the second game. I see a draw today. I'd be happy with that. But what about you, Dean and Adam? What are you thinking ahead of this one? Dean, we'll come to you first for a score prediction, please.
Well, I think Southampton are going to have to be at their best play. I think defensively they need to be strong. They need to be disciplined because of what we've mentioned. And I think it's important that the players use the energy of the fans, you know, that it being a full house at St Mary's and using that again, using that enjoyment, that adrenaline of playing in front of the home fans. And there's going to be spells in the game where Man United are going to have a lot of the ball. But I think, like I mentioned, Southampton could definitely cause them some problems. So defensively, I think Southampton could be really, really strong and take that opportunity, one or two that they get. I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw.
Okay, well, Adam, Dean saying a draw there. He did also mention the fact that we will be playing with a full capacity stand here at St Mary's. The first time we've seen that in over a year. Will that spur the guys on? Do you think it will be enough?
I think it will be important today. I mean, like in terms of a prediction, I feel a bit like heart over head or head over heart in a little way, because I probably like logically look at it and think I would expect Man United to win. But actually, I wonder if you're right, Kenzie, in that the support, like playing in front of all these people at home for the first time in a long time, might just be a little bit of a leveller. It might just give Saints an edge that, you know, in a regular season when this was the norm, that they perhaps wouldn't feel, and perhaps they won't feel in a few weeks' time when this feels normal again. But we all know what the buzz of those days are like. I mean, you guys must be feeling it in the stadium, like when the big teams come to town, it's a full house. There's something electric about it all. And the players haven't felt that for a long time either. So I'm hoping that will just kind of give them that extra 5-10%, and that will make a difference. And I like Dean. I think I don't think I could actually predict the Saints victory. I don't think I'm that confident, but I would go for a draw and I'll go 1-1.
Okay, thanks very much. Well, Adam, Dean, appreciate all your comments on Saints Live, and we'll speak to you after the game. Well, for the first time in 18 months, St Mary's will be packed with fans as Southampton welcome Manchester United for the first home game of this season. We can't wait to see this place rocking, we really can't. Do join us after the match on the final whistle, where we'll have all the post-match reaction and analysis. Enjoy the game, and we'll see you then.